Let's dive into the Arizona Cardinals. We've been taking a look at Warren Sharp's book. By the way, go check it out. I got it on sale. It's normally $100, right? Normally $100. It was on sale. I got it for 62, I think 65 after shipping on Amazon. You can get the PDF version. That's what we're on right here, right now, on stream, for $30. It's jam. It's got so much stuff, so much knowledge in there. If you're a sports or an NFL junkie, especially if you're a sports bettor, you need this book. Here's a look at it right here. Look how thick that thing is. Printed in color, right? Not a sponsor. I don't get anything out of it. I'm just trying to bring you guys good resources. Good resources. But let's dive into the Arizona Cardinals a little bit. You put Redskins in the thumbnail and pull up the cards? Yes. Yes, Patriot. Yes. Mainly because I read about the Cardinals on the on my flight. It doesn't make sense that we aren't talking about the Skins today. But it does if you really think about it. All right. Second year for head coach Jonathan Gannon and his coordinators there, of course. They're over under the season's 8.5. One thing I like to look at, and one thing I've been reading about in this book that is very useful, is a lot of people like to look at, like, okay, who are you playing? Who are your opponents? Strength of schedule. When's your bye week, to determine how, like to project what kind of season a team is going to have. Well, no, that's really hard to do. I think one of the things that we can see, especially from a sports betting standpoint, of knowing when to possibly fade some teams, is this thing called rest advantage and disadvantage. Now, the Cardinals are very lucky. As you can see here, down here, we have the rest edge. The Cardinals only play 2 games this season where they're at a rest disadvantage. 2 games. They have 4 games where they have 3 games where they have a rest advantage, 2 games where they have a disadvantage. Net 1 game positive rest advantage over the season. So their first one is week 5 home against the Titans. They'll have 3 days extra rest compared to the Titans. Might want to look at the Cardinals there. Maybe if you're looking for a survivor pick. Talking about survivor earlier, maybe that's a spot for week 5. They have a 7-day rest advantage against the Dallas Cowboys because in week 8 they have a bye. So in week 9 on Monday Night Football, they play the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, but they'll have a 7-day rest advantage going into that one. And then they'll have a 1 day because they played on Monday Night Football the following week. Week 10, they'll have a 1-day rest disadvantage against the Seahawks, and that will be back-to-back road games as well. So that's interesting. And then week 16, they will have a 3-day rest disadvantage against the Falcons. And in the final week of the season, which, who knows, maybe the Cardinals are in contention in the mix for the division. I'm not saying that I'm betting on that. But if they are, and that week 18 could be with the Rams, could be for the division title, they'll have 1 day extra rest heading into that game. So that's pretty huge. Remy says, as long as I don't see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I don't think you're going to see the Chiefs in the playoffs this year. Hot take. Go look at the Chiefs. It's up on Rumble and YouTube. Go take a look at the breakdown we did of the Chiefs. Whew. I don't think it's looking good. Was B-Mac here? Oh, B-Mac was here. What up, B-Mac? How you doing? Okay. Some key players they lost. Let's see. Kaiser White, Will Henderson, Matt Prey. Oh, they lost their kicker. No. Zach Pascal. He's in New York with Grass Guys team. Who else did they lose? I thought they lost someone key. I don't see any big names. Some guys that they signed, though, key free agents and trades they made over the offseason. Josh Sweat, paying him $19 million a year. That was a good pickup. He, he meets back up with Gannon, who he was with in Philadelphia. So That was a good get by them. Got him a competent backup quarter. Dude, the best job in the league is backup quarterback, or the best job in the world is backup quarterback in the NFL. Jacoby Brissett, yes, that Jacoby Brissett still in the league, and he's getting $6.29 million this year. They got Calais Campbell, Akeem Davis Gaither. I don't know who that is. And a couple other guys I've never even heard of. Players drafted. They had one pick in each round, it looks like. First round, they took a defensive tackle, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Big boy. Big boy. Good pick. Look at that. They focus on the defensive side of the ball. Second round, they took a cornerback, Will Johnson out of Michigan. That was a good pick. That was a steal. He was supposed to be a first round pick. There's injury concerns with him. He fell all the way to 47th pick there, and they were like, you know what? There's too much value. Let's take a risk. Let's do it. Took a defensive end, Jordan Birch out of Oregon in the third round. And then a linebacker, Cody Simon out of Ohio State, followed by a cornerback, Denzel Burke, also out of Ohio State. So focusing on the defensive side of the ball there. I like Brisket. He's a good teacher. I don't know if there was a joke there or if you're meaning Brissett. Either way, yeah. He's a good veteran guy to have on the bench and in that locker room. $6 million, dude, to back up in the NFL. That is crazy. That's crazy. Okay. The 2024 Arizona Cardinals surprised me and most of the NFL community. Off of 4 wins in 23 and 24, Cardinals were favored. Or no, coming off of 4 wins in 23. Last year, Cardinals were favored in just 5 games with a 6.5 game win total heading into the season. Season was set up brutally. When Kyler Murray has historically been healthy earlier in the season, they were scheduled to play the number 1 toughest schedule in the NFL. They were set to battle the Bills, Lions, Niners, Rams, Commanders, Packers, Chargers, and more before their Week 11 bye. In their first 10 games, they had just 1 game scheduled against a team expected to have a losing record. Defying the odds in the number 1 toughest schedule, Arizona won 6 games through Week 10 and sat at 6-4, number 1 in the NFC West. But that's the Cardinals. We're going to get into this. That's the Cardinals. They always start off. They can never finish, even with the new head coach, new regime in there, never finish the season strong. It's wild. Unlike past years, Murray made it through the majority of the season unscathed and healthy. The best part was that Arizona was about to enter its easiest stretch of the season. They were closing the season with games against the 4-5 Seahawks, 3-7 Patriots, 3-7 Panthers, 4-5 Rams, 7-2 Vikings, and the injury-riddled 49ers in Week 18. Fortunately for the Cardinals, though, healthy Murray's play fell off. The injured defense never took. Yeah, that's what killed the Cardinals. Cardinals were playing great defense first half of the season, and then they just nosedived. Their injured defense never took a step forward, and Arizona came out of the bye with a 1-5 record before a meaningless Week 18 win against the Niners. Although they squandered the things late in the year, Arizona outperformed preseason expectations. But it's how they executed offensively and the attention to the defense from a personal perspective that gives hope for 2025. We got hope. Cardinals fans, you got hope. You hear that? That said, if Murray's inability to perform late in the season continues to plague him, Arizona will struggle once again in 25. And their schedule down the stretch in 25 this season is brutal. Let's take a look at that. So after their bye, Week 9, they go Cowboys, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, Bucks, Rams, Houston, Atlanta, Bengals, Rams. Yeah, that's tough. Look at that stretch. Bucks, Rams, Houston, Atlanta, Cincy, Rams. Whew. And they finished the season with 2 away games. Luckily, though, the rest advantage and disadvantage is not too bad. Let's see. Although Murray has flaws and the offense has work to do, they aren't the side of the ball holding this team back. If the defense doesn't improve, Arizona isn't taking the next step that many are expected them to take. Hence why they drafted all those defensive players. And they got a defensive-minded head coach. So they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine there. Plus he's 5'6". Yes. Fast as hell, though. Cardinals win total set at 8.5 this season, their highest forecasted total in 3 years, and they've only exceeded 8.5 wins just one time since 2015. Arizona's defense ranked 27 last year after ranking 32 in Jonathan Gannon's first year in Arizona. Oh, so this is his third season. I always get confused by that. The defense struggled in critical areas. They ranked 26 on early downs, 26 against the pass, 23 in pass rush efficiency, 28 in pass rush win rate. That's not good. As bad as the Cardinals defense was last year, it did improve over 2023. It simply is still not good enough. For example, they shifted from allowing touchdowns on 29% of opponent drives in 23 to 20 and 24. While improved, they still ranked 30th in the NFL last year. Interesting. See, this is another reason why you got to get this. Look at all these charts, stats, data. I'm not going to dive into all of them. We just don't have time for it, but you can if you get yourself a copy. It's great. It's beautiful. I like to call this my big, beautiful book. Big, beautiful. I wish I could do a Trump voice. I can't. I'm not even going to attempt it. Big, beautiful book. Let's see. The Cardinals are favored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games this year. This is the preseason lines, obviously. So they're favored in 7. They're favored in their first 2 games. At least they get to start the season off great. They get to play the Saints in week 1 and the Panthers in week 2. That's a good way to start the season. Hot Landon Penix Jr. That's right. What's the book? The book is this right here. This is Warren Sharp's football book. This is what we're looking at right now, but I'll show you real quick. Boom. Football preview. Look how thick that bad boy is. Boom. You can get yourself the PDF version. That's what we're on right now. That way it's just easier to pull up on the stream. But yeah, Warren Sharp, go check out his Twitter and you can get a link to his book if you're an NFL junkie or if you like making money. Or you can just follow me at Game On. GameOn.locals.com or follow the show because I'm going to be giving you I'm going to be using this stuff for a lot of my picks this year. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to do so much winning. We're going to get tired of winning. Let's see. Over the second half of the season, Cardinals ranked 10th in EPA per play allowed. But that was entirely buoyed by ranking number 2 in EPA. Oh, so really they were 26, but since at the first half of the season, they were ranked 2 all season long. That's because they got to play quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bryce Young, and Josh Dobbs. And against Aaron Rodgers. Then they started playing Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and Matt Stafford, who all had solid seasons last year. The Cardinals scored just 9 points and 6 points in 2 of those games. So those quarterbacks weren't trying to chuck aggressively to outscore an opponent. But good hope for the defense in 2025 because Arizona understood their weaknesses and stocked up on personnel to solve their problems. Arizona has invested progressively more and more in the defensive line. They went out and got Josh Sweat, man. That was a good pickup, plus their draft picks. Paige says I'm still going to win the contest as usual. I can't wait for those to open up and go get us some entries. They have the 11th most expensive defensive line. So they spent some money. They went from 2 years ago having the least expensive defensive line to the 11th most. So they're trying. They signed Josh Sweat, Dalvin Thompson, and Calais Campbell. Then they drafted defensive tackle Walter Nolan, 16th overall, and defensive end Jordan Birch. Their first round defensive end pick in last year's draft, Darius Robinson, did not play until week 13. So he's pretty much like a new addition. Arizona brought back Baron Browning, whom they acquired from the Broncos in November. Additionally, 23 second-round pick BJ Ojulari missed all of last season after suffering a torn ACL during training camp. but he'll be back in 25. So they got some hope. This Arizona defense might be kind of nasty if they can figure it out. Atta baby Remy says, I'm new, but I got you and your podcast. Seen the open door stop? What? What's that? No. You don't have to be a Cardinals fan to be impressed with these names along the defensive line. There's a blend of vets with a history of performance, key players returning to health, and new young blue chip players ready to contribute. Gaining coming from the Eagles and knowing how much their strong defensive line meant to the team in both their Super Bowl runs surely has played a role in how much focus the Cards have put on defenses last offseason. That's good. Here's some more charts. You can see their just breaks down a different way of the rest advantage and disadvantage. They have a net rest edge they're sixth in the league with the net rest edge. They have the sixth best net rest edge, which is huge. And these are just things you need to know when you're betting. I love this part because it gives you the why would you want to bet under their win total or over their win total. He makes the argument both ways. So here's why you should bet under 8.5 wins for the Cardinals in 2025. Although the Cardinals allow the sixth lowest touchdown rate, 3.7%, they did so while giving up 7.3 yards per passing attempt to opponents, as well as fourth highest average completion percentage. Arizona's passing attack was relatively stagnant in 24, despite the selection of Marvin Harrison Jr. He's a bum. He's overrated. Guy, they're trying to put him in the Hall of Fame before he even played a game. Get out of here. With last year's number 4 overall pick, the team attempted just 39.1 passes per game. That's the 21st in the league, while only averaging 10.3 yards per reception, which is 22nd in the league. Opponents averaged 31.4 yards per kickoff return. Dang. Which was the third highest in the league, and 10.2 yards per punt return, 13th highest against the Cardinals this past season. The special teams unit will have to improve if they hope to take some pressure off their aging defensive core. Which also, they got rid of their kicker too. That's not good. Maybe they should have drafted a kicker. What are the half games? No, the half game is just... So the half game is just saying, do you think they're going to get to 9 wins or do you think they're going to get less than 9 wins, basically? So the half is there just to say, like, I think they're going to get 8 or fewer, or I think they're going to get 9 or more. That's the half. Here's why you should bet over 8.5 wins on the Arizona Cardinals in the 2025 season. The Cardinals struggled defensively in 24, finishing the season with the league's second lowest defensive success rate. They acknowledged this problem by prioritizing their front seven through the offseason. Arizona signed deals with Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Calais Campbell. Free agency. They also used 5 of their 7 draft picks to supplement the defensive side of the ball. Arizona finished 24 season as one of the league's most efficient teams in goal-to-go scenarios, scoring on 86.2% of their drives inside the 10-yard line. That is amazing. That is really good. They just got to get down there more often, right? They scored 25 of their 41 total touchdowns from goal-to-go. Rushing plays accounted for 40% of Arizona's total yards in 24, the 5th most in the league. They had the second highest yards per rushing attempt, average 5.3, with the trend expected to continue as James Conner returns to the lineup after back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Hey, fantasy player, any of you fantasy football players out there, maybe James Conner, a guy to look at. So that's the argument for both sides there. Let's see. Positional rankings. Their front 7 was ranked 28th in the league. Their head coach is ranked 25th. Whew. That's not good. Cardinals haven't won a playoff game in a decade, but hopes are relatively high in 25 for a team that doubled its win total last year. Arizona finished 19th in our overall rankings this year, ahead of just 4 NFC teams. Kyler Murray played every game for just the 3rd time in his career. In 17 games, Murray scored 26 touchdowns, set a career high in total QBR. As a result, he jumped up inside the top half of our rankings. Um, at running back, the Cardinals will roll with James Conner and Trey Benson as their top two guys again this season. Our committee was pretty split on the Arizona backfield, with votes ranging from 11 to 20. Man, is that peak or valley? I think I'm buying the call option and see where what it does. Okay. I mean, hey, go big or go home. Swing big, baby. Um, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't have the breakout rookie season that was expected. Huh. I wonder who called that. Who was screaming that last year? But tight end Trey McBride did. He had 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Wasn't he a rookie last year? So yeah. Arizona offense was their biggest mover of this year's voting, jumping from 31st last year all the way up to 12. The Cardinals will return almost all of their contributors for 24. Despite spending a first-round pick on Walter Nolan and signing multiple veteran free agents, the defensive front is the weakest point of the Cardinals, according to our rankings. Let's see. Secondary moved up. Budda Baker was named to his 7th Pro Bowl last season. Jonathan Gannon has won 12 games in his first 2 years as head coach and dropped 2 spots in our rankings this year, 25. Okay. Another reason to feel more positive about the Cardinals' defense is simple injury regression. Cardinals ranked 29th in team health in 2022, 28th in 23, and 26th in 24. Specifically on defense, they ranked at the bottom. Naturally, these poor health numbers explain some of why statistically they've been so poor. If Arizona can stay healthier in 25, it's impossible to believe it won't translate into better performance. You can say that about every NFL team. Look at the Niners. But another reason why the Niners weren't healthy last year was because they had the NFL's historically worst rest disadvantage, minus 21 days. It's never happened before. So you pile injuries on top of not being at a rest disadvantage almost every week. You have no time to get healthy. Yes, Remy, if you argue about Brady with Patriot, he is always going to in the argument with Dallas retired Brady. I can't believe I can't believe Tom went out that way. Come on, Tom. While I previously mentioned how the Cardinals played some poor quarterback down the stretch over 24, Arizona's defense played the 3rd toughest schedule of offense, including the number 1 toughest schedule of quarterbacks. Damn. Facing a top 3 schedule of offense will make any defense look worse than they are. Once again, there's more hope. There's more hope. It remains to be seen exactly how the 25 schedule plays out, but right now I'm predicting the Cardinals defense to play the 17th toughest schedule of offenses, including the 12th toughest schedule of quarterbacks. If the schedule plays out near what I currently expect, there's a big chance defense performs better simply because of the schedule. Good news for the Cardinals is near the beginning of the season when they're playing most of their unsettled quarterback rooms. Week 1, they get to play the Saints with rookie quarterback Tyler Show. Week 2, Panthers Bryce Young. Week 5, rookie Cam Ward. Week 6, they get to play Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. That'll help you out. If you look at the down analysis table on the right, you're going to see a whole lot of green in the first down column. They're really good on first down. They're really bad at third down. They were outstanding. On first downs, Arizona ranked 3 in EPA per play and 5 in success rate. On early downs, Arizona ranked 6 in EPA and 3rd in success rate. Both were massive improvements over the previous year. Last year, the Cardinals went 58% pass on their first half early downs, the 8th highest rate in the NFL. Even though Murray was on the injury reserve for the first 9 weeks of 23, from week 10 onward, Arizona still ranked just 20th in pass rate, but Murray's efficiency on the first half early downs improved immensely. How did they get so much improvement out of Murray? He threw the ball much more often to his running backs on these downs, while these passes were much shorter, reducing his target depth from 7.2 air yards to 6. They were far more likely to be caught. Oh, how about that? That's another thing. Maybe if you're a fantasy football player, maybe snag these running backs, especially if you're in a PPR league. Connor coming back from back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing. Plus, I mean, he's gonna catch the ball a lot too. More about passing to the running backs. There's a breakdown of their draft class. I don't really like to go through that because it's all just speculation. We don't know what's going to happen with these guys, but they have that. Ugh, look at all these tables, man. Dallas don't need fluff. um, some fantasy football advice if you're interested in that. They got that in here. Let's see. They'll be hyping up their defense. It's basically, the Cardinals are going to. They need to be better on third downs. They need to be better the second half of the season from the offensive side of things. Defensively, they got to get back to being like even they could just get up to average. It'd be a huge improvement, and they should with some of the quarterbacks they have to play this season. So they got to keep their guys healthy on the defensive side. Hope that these veterans can teach these young guys some things, and these veterans still got something in the tank. And then two, hopefully some of these blue chip draft picks they've had over the last few years end up paying off. That basically summarizes this whole thing right here. Arizona signed 6 free agents from other teams to deals over $1.75 million per year, and 5 of the 6 were on the defensive side of the ball. The only exception being backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett. Okay. Many teams would kill for the continuity in this Cardinals offense that this Cardinals offense will have from both player and coaching perspective, with Murray and Petzing working in their third year together. But there's still things they need on this side of the ball if Arizona is to reach the heights and the odds makers set for them at 8.5 wins. For starters, they need to look internally to convince. Petzing needs to look internally to convince himself if Murray is just too erratic to push the ball downfield and reduce the number of deep shots Arizona takes. There are some stats on him. His deep ball passing, his accuracy ranks 35th out of 41 players in the league last year. That's not good. Oh, that's not good either. Not good. Over the last 3 years combined, there are 35 QBs with at least 175 passes over 10 air yards. Of those 35 QBs, Murray ranks 35th in EPA per attempt, 34th in yards per attempt, 31 in success rate, 30 in completion rate. Yeah, he's got to be better. Or you're going to have Jacoby chance. You know what I mean? He was worse than Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, Zach Wilson, Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter, Gardner Minshew, and Will Levis. Yet he's on a $230 million contract. Good for him. Good for him. More stats about how bad he was throwing the ball down the field. All right, let's see. This is a summary. Let's see. Among QBs in the last 4 years, Murray ranked 6th in rush attempts, 5th in rush yards, despite playing only 50 games. Perhaps the running and hits take something out of Murray as a quarterback down the stretch of the season. Whatever the case is, Arizona will need Murray to be stronger down the stretch in 25 than he has been thus far in his career because, as I mentioned at the top, Arizona's schedule to close out the season is brutal. Ranks 3rd toughest from week 11 onward. The exact split I chose to use in the above analysis. They play 6 of 8 games from week 11 onward against teams expected to post winning records this season, in part due to Murray's fall off statistically each year. In his starts, the Cardinals are 26-20-1 through week 10. That's pretty good. They're 26-21 through week 10, but 10-25 from week 11 onward. They just, for some odd reason, it's got to be with Murray. It's got to be him. Last year was the defensive side of the ball too. I don't know. And this isn't a Kingsbury thing. The last 2 seasons under Gannon, Murray-led Arizona is 7-4 through week 10 and 4-10 through week 11 onward. There's a lot to feel good about with regard to the direction the arrow is pointing for the Cardinals, but to prove the betting market is correct and hit 9 games with a shot at the playoffs, they need the defense to make a logical step forward, given the talent influx, the Petzing-Murray marriage to stay strong, Murray to stay healthy, and Murray to figure out how to deliver more consistent performance from week 1 through 18. There you have it. That's Arizona Cardinals. Good morning, Lady Midnight. How we doing? I'm assuming AJ will go with over 8.5. Yes, that's right. That's right. He probably will. He probably will.